So if you're an executive, you know this feeling, right? You're constantly caught between your company's purpose and its profits. And the conventional wisdom, it always says they're at odds, that every dollar you invest in purpose is a dollar you're taking away from performance. But what if that's just wrong? What if a structured approach to purpose could actually be your single greatest driver of enterprise value? In this quick explainer, we're going to tear down that old trade-off. We'll start with the dilemma, then I'll introduce you to a framework called the Business Peace Index. We'll get into exactly how it drives value, see it in action, and wrap up with 3 things you can do like this quarter. Okay, let's get into it. All right, first up, let's just call out the problem that pretty much every leadership team is wrestling with. It's this question, isn't it? The one that kind of sits in the back of your mind. The assumption that any effort you put towards doing some societal good is just a drain on the bottom line. It frames purpose as a cost center, a luxury you can only really afford after you've already crushed your numbers. Yeah, we all know this playbook. It's the classic, but honestly, it's a totally outdated way of thinking. It pits purpose against profits like it's a zero-sum game. Societal impact over here, shareholder return over there, a long-term vision fighting against the tyranny of quarterly performance, soft metrics versus cold, hard numbers. This way of thinking doesn't just create tension, it's actually holding back your company's potential for growth. So how do we break out of that trap? Well, we need a new tool, and that tool is the Business Peace Index. Look, the BPI isn't about fuzzy, feel-good ideas. It's a structured, 8-part framework that actually lets you measure and quantify how your company's purpose turns into real performance. It connects your impact directly to your business results. Now, when we say peace, let's be really clear, we're not talking about something abstract or idealistic. In a business context, peace is a practical thing. It's the result of positive impact. It means reducing friction, with your customers, your employees, even regulators, and creating the conditions where people and your business can genuinely flourish. The index is built on 8 components, which we can group into a few key areas. Let's start with the foundation. First, purpose. Is your company's why a real North Star that guides tough decisions, or is it just a slogan on a poster? Second, leadership. Do your execs actually walk the talk? Because, authenticity from the top is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, next up, your operations, what you actually do day in and day out. Product social value. Does the thing you sell genuinely solve a real human problem and make life better? And then there's ethics and morality. This is just about the integrity of how you do business. It's the bedrock of trust that over time seriously lowers your risk profile. Then, the framework has you look outward at your whole ecosystem. Stakeholder well-being measures the good stuff happening for everyone you touch, from better employee retention to more loyal suppliers. And opportunities to extend impact looks at how you scale those good things, maybe by leading a whole industry to adopt better standards. And finally, the BPI helps future-proof your strategy. Time Horizon asks if your plans and your incentives are actually built for long-term value, not just the next 90 days. And New Paradigm Alignment, well, it measures how well you fit with where the world is going. This ensures you're being pulled forward by the future, instead of being dragged, kicking and screaming by the past. So we've got these 8 components, but the big question is, how does getting a better score on this index actually translate into dollars and cents? This is the crucial part. It works like a flywheel, right? It gains momentum with every single turn. So it starts here. Improving your BPI score builds trust and just makes your operations better. That trust directly improves your core business metrics. You attract top talent, you win more customers, you even get better pricing power. This all leads to better unit economics and more durable, predictable growth. And finally, the market rewards that kind of growth with a higher valuation, which gives you the resources to reinvest right back into your BPI. It becomes this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle of creating value. And here's how we make that link totally explicit, going from your operations straight to the balance sheet. Higher trust and better talent, that drives revenue growth and OpEx efficiency. That translates directly into higher free cash flow and a lower cost of capital. And in valuation terms, well, that means you get a lower discount rate and you can sustain your competitive advantage for longer. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a direct, causal path from a structured purpose to real financial performance. So the whole thing really boils down to this simple, powerful chain of events. A better Business Peace Index score leads to better economics, which, you guessed it, leads to a better valuation. That's the entire logic, right there. Okay, so let's shift from the theory and look at a practical example of how this actually works in the real world. So it's really important to get this. The BPI isn't some public report card or an external ranking. Its real power is as an internal diagnostic tool. It helps your team do an honest self-evaluation to find your weakest link, the one component that, if you fixed it, would unlock the most enterprise value. So let's take a quick look at a really common situation. There's this company, we'll call them Company A, and they were struggling. They were losing customers left and right, and the cost to get new ones was just going through the roof. Sound familiar to anyone? Now, instead of just throwing more cash at marketing, they used the BPI framework. Their diagnosis pointed to weaknesses in product social value and stakeholder well-being. So that's where they focused their efforts, improving their product to solve their customers' core problem better and investing in top-notch customer support. And the result? It was huge. By focusing on just those two BPI components, they saw a 22% jump in customer retention and referrals. This didn't just stop the bleeding, it turned their customers into their best sales force, which directly boosted revenue growth and, of course, profitability. This all sounds great, but where do you actually begin? Here are 3 concrete actions you can take right now, this quarter. First, get your team in a room and do an honest assessment of your baseline score across all 8 components. Second, and this is important, don't try to fix everything at once. Just pick one component that'll drive growth, like product social value, and one that'll reduce risk, maybe ethics and morality. Third, and this is key, you've got to make it real. Tie leadership incentives to a specific, measurable BPI outcome. Look, if you remember one thing from this explainer, make it this. Purpose and profit are not in conflict. They are powerful allies. They reinforce each other, but only when you have a structure to connect them. The Business Peace Index is that structure. So if you're ready to stop thinking about purpose as a cost and start using it as a strategic driver for your company's valuation, the next step is to map out your own pathway. Book a strategy call with us, and we can help you figure out your highest leverage opportunities.